Oh. Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvina Vadhitamastu Ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Sadashiva Samarambham Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam. Ramo Rajamani Sada Vijayate Ramam Ramesham Bhaje Ramena Bihata Nishacharachamu Ramaya Tasmai Namaha. Ramannasti Parayanam Parataram Ramasya Dasosmyaham Rame Chittalaya Sada Bhavatu Me Bho Rama Mamuddhara Samasta Jana Kalyani Niratam Karunamayam Namami Chinmayam Devam Sadgurum Brahma Vidwaram Sadgurum Brahma Vidwaram. Hari Om. We will chant from the first verse until the fifth verse of third chapter. Arjuna Uvacha Arjuna Uvacha. Together. Jayasi Chet Karmanaste Mata Buddhir Janardana Tatkim Karmani Ghore Mam Niyojayasi Keshava Vyamishreneva Vakyena Buddhim Mohayasiva Me Tadekam Vadanishchitya Yena Shreyo Hamapnuyam. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Lokesmin Dvividha Nishtha Pura Prokta Maya Nagha Jnana Yogena Sankhyanam Karma Yogena Yoginam Nakarmanam Anarambhat Naishkarmyam Purushoshnute Nacha Sanyasanadeva Siddhim Samadhigacchati Nahi kaschit kshanamapi jatu tishthatya karma krute karyate hyavashah karma sarvah prakriti jair gunaihi. In the second chapter, Bhagwan had elaborated about the greatness of jnanam, that our fundamental cause of bondage is ignorance about our true nature. So knowledge about our true nature is the direct means for liberation. And in several places, Bhagwan had praised that this knowledge alone will take us to the supreme goal of life, which is abidance in our own nature as Ananda Swarupa Atma. Bhagwan did not criticize karma. In some places in Vedanta, we will see that karma is criticized. But in second chapter, Bhagwan did not criticize karma. In fact, he praised Karma Yoga also, but he praised Jnana Yoga more than Karma Yoga. And this is where Arjuna got a question. He said, Bhagwan, if you are praising Jnanam to be greater than Karma Yoga, and on another hand, you are telling me to get engaged in action, engaged in karma, that too not ordinary karma, ghora karma. My mind is getting confused. What should I do? Why not go for the best option? Why go through the second best option right now? So this is the question that Arjuna had. And Bhagwan answers by talking about myths related to karma. One of the things Bhagwan says is, Arjuna, whenever you hear criticism about karma, whenever it is said, Jnanam is superior to karma, we should understand it in the right context. Karma by itself will not give knowledge. Any karma for that matter does not produce knowledge. So if I want to remove ignorance about my true nature, then I have to study Vedanta, and that knowledge will remove ignorance. Karma will prepare me to sit down and gain this knowledge as it is. Kshina doshaha, sumedhaha, what we saw yesterday in Kenopanishad class. But by itself, karma will not directly give moksha. But one should not go to another extreme and criticize karma just for the sake of criticizing. Says Arjuna, this karma has a great role to play in the molding of a sadhaka. Don't remove the ladder before you have climbed the wall. If I remove it before only, I will just appreciate that goal which is there. I won't be able to get to that point. So Bhagwan says karma is like that. So he said in the 4th verse, sometimes when we misunderstand this point, he said take karma sannyasa, drop karma. It is mostly because of ghora rupa of karma. We saw that also. In Arjuna's case, his karma, immediate karma was ghora rupa, right? He had to fight a battle. But in our day-to-day life, whenever we get disappointments from the world, in the form of no acknowledgement, not seeing results of the actions that we are putting in, at that time a thought comes, why am I doing this? Why not just drop this thing? So Bhagwan says, don't drop things prematurely. And another thought is, this karma is a bondage. Let me not start something new also, because moment I touch something, it will come to bind me. But those who are skilled, Bhagwan says, I'm going to elaborate in 3rd chapter, they can get into karma and come out also in a very nice way, without getting caught up anywhere in between. Otherwise, in general, it can be, if somebody just enters into karma, without thinking too much, it is like a piece of cloth trying to pull it over a bush of thorns. Time and again it will get torn, and more harder you try to pull, more it will get entangled. But coming out of karma, Bhagwan will say it is an art, and merely by not starting anything and merely by dropping something which has been taken up, one does not attain naishkarmya. Na karmanam anarambhat naishkarmyam purushaha ashnute na cha sanyasanadeva siddhim samadhigacchati. In 2nd chapter, we had seen Bhagwan had given one analogy, or we had seen one analogy, that this karma is like a boat. You have this ocean of samsara, or river of samsara. If one sits in that boat of karma, he will cross over that river in a very nice way. That boat is not only karma boat, it is also karma yoga boat. He will cross it in a very nice way, meaning he will live his life in a very good way. On the other side of that river, he will be welcomed by Vairagya. Welcomed by Vairagya means somebody who has lived such a life, they will have Vairagya. And Vairagya will take them to the next step of Jnanam. So after reaching the other shore, it is okay to leave the boat, but not to leave it on the previous shore itself, previous bank of the river. Don't drop the boat right there. Otherwise, how are we going to reach the opposite side? So this is Bhagwan's first advice. He says, Arjuna, remove this idea from your mind that merely by dropping some things halfway or not starting anything new, we are going to accomplish the supreme goal of life. Na karmanam anarambhat naishkarmyam purushah ashnute. And what we see in general is, whenever it comes to dropping things, we end up dropping what we should be doing. Our daily duties or sadhanas, in the pressure of whatever, they get dropped first, and all kamya karmas, the desire prompted karmas which are there, they remain. Even if we want, we cannot drop those things. Meaning what Bhagwan is saying here is, Arjuna, appreciate how this karma works. We are pushed into karma, many karmas, because of our own desires. There are some karmas which we do because of a sense of duty. We will come to that topic. But he says there are several karmas in our life which we do prompted by some desire. And if we merely drop the karma externally, karma will drop, but desire will remain. And he's going to say now that the main purpose of the spiritual path is to use that karma to remove desires. Or better word is, grow out of desires. Become mature about things in life so that that desire doesn't bother anymore. Then he says that karma will automatically drop. Right? The best example for this is marbles or toys. Many Mahatmas, they give this example. They say we don't want to just run away from that toy for the sake of it. So why do we stay away from it? Because we have matured from the joy which we are getting from that thing. So result of dharmic life is this. Somebody who has matured from the joys that we get, and one who is seeking a more permanent source of happiness. That was until this point. Now Bhagwan said, Arjuna, there is another thing to note about karma. So one is he's talking about myth, another is also facts about karma. First one was myth. You can just drop it anytime and that will give you the supreme goal. He says nothing like that happens. Now he's going to say, or he said in the 5th verse, Bhagwan, that our life is such that we cannot live without action even for a moment. Nahi kaschit kshanamapi jatu tishtati akarmakrit. So Arjuna, you are saying you will remain without doing any action. There is nothing called as living without actions. In fact, they are contradictory words. Living means actions. There is nothing called as living without action. Nahi kaschit kshanamapi jatu tishtati akarmakruta. 5th verse. Karyatehi avashah karma sarvah prakriti jair gunaihi. This person will be pushed into action by his own gunas. That is one way to understand. If somebody who has rajoguna inside, they will be prompted into action no matter where they are. So merely by dropping karma doesn't mean we have actually grown out of karma. And over here, Bhagwan is also mentioning another point. What he had mentioned in 2nd chapter only. Mate sangostu akarmani. The last quarter of that verse, karmani eva adhikaraste. He said, Arjuna, be careful that your life should not fall under laziness. No matter where you are, which stage of life you are, which ashrama you are, make sure that you don't become lazy in the name of dropping sankalpa, in the name of dropping desire prompted action, and so on. Very fine path it is. So here Bhagavan is elaborating. Actually speaking, there is nobody who can be without any action, even for a moment. And the interesting thing is, you know the three gunas, right? Sattva guna, Rajo guna, and Tamo guna. It is very easy to confuse between Sattva guna and Tamo guna. You know why is that? Person who is in Sattva guna is also very quiet, just his transactions are very well moderated. It is not zero. That person will still have to do some or the other Yavahara. Type of Yavahara might be different. They'll be more into meditation, more into doing japa, more into other spiritual practices, let us say. So that person is externally appearing to be in one place. And strangely, Tamoguna also is the, external appearance is similar. There was, a story I had read where mother, who is a very devoted sadhaka, she used to keep telling her son that, Bhagwan is all pervading, Bhagwan is residing in each and every part of this creation. So one day that mother comes to wake up her son, a young boy, school-going boy, says, come out of the bed. Now that boy is giving logic inside the blanket. The mother, you only said God is all pervading. So he pervades this house also. He said, yes. He pervades this space also. Yes. Doesn't he pervade this blanket also? He said, it does. So let me be under the grace of God. Means let me sleep a little more. Why are you just unnecessarily waking me up? It happened to that boy, but it happens to a lot of sadhakas. That there is a very fine line between tamas and sattva guna. So there Bhagavan says, don't fall under tamas. That type of life is never encouraged in Bhagavad Gita. And a lot of sadhanas are also given. How to come out from that tamasic, tamasic routine. Actually, it's not a routine. That which takes away from our routine is tamas. So how to come out of tamas, Bhagavan is going to give some perspectives. But this particular verse, we can look at from that standpoint also. Arjuna, just don't go away somewhere. There is a chance of becoming tamasic. Or that rajas which is there, it will not allow us to be in solitude. It will push us into karma. Karyatehi avashyak karma, sarvaha prakriti jair gunai. So first he is telling, Arjuna, from this rajas and tamas, let us come to sattva first. And when you come to sattva, your type of karma will start changing. Okay, first type of karma was more extroverted. Now when you overcome your tamas and rajas, become more sattvic, you will get joy in study of Vedanta. That is sattvic karma, it is still karma, but it is the gradual, transition. You will get a lot of joy in sadhana. So that transition is what we should aim for, not just dropping karma. Okay, this is what we had seen last time. Now Bhagavan says there could be somebody who is externally dropping karma. He is externally withdrawing himself, sits very quietly, and he looks to be a great tapasvi. Look at that person, so nicely, well controlled in all his Yavahara. But there is no guarantee that he is actually in Sattva Guna and it is doing any good to that person. Okay, so this is the connection now. 6th verse. Karmendriyani sanyamya, Karmendriyani sanyamya, ya aste manasa smaran, ya aste manasa smaran, indriyarthan vimudhatma, indriyarthan vimudhatma, मिथ्याचारस्य उच्यते, मिथ्याचारस्य उच्यते. Karmendriyani sanyamya. One who has very well controlled, withdrawn his karmendriyas. Karmendriyas means organs of action. And over here, you can take Jnanendriya also. Means externally he is appearing to be very withdrawn and quiet. Yaha indriyarthan manasa smaran aste. Okay, but yes, externally withdrawn, but his mind is racing. It is racing with what? Indriyarthan means vishayan. It is racing with thought of sense objects. At mental level, he is brooding over those things. What is the title Bhagwan gives to that person? He says Vimudhatma. You know why Bhagwan calls him Vimudhatma? He says if you had those thoughts, desires in your mind, there was karma available to very intelligently exhaust them. But he has misunderstood karma and he has dropped karma. Or he is withdrawing externally, but mind is not cooperating. Ya aste manasasmaran indriyarthan vimudhatma. Bhagwan is in his own mood. He is giving different titles. He says mithyacharasya uchyate. Mithya achara means he is a hypocrite. Mithya means there is only appearance, there is no real thing there. Like yesterday also in Kenopanishad, Bhagwan used the word, Bhagwan Shankaracharya used the word, Mithya Jnanam. One who knows Brahma as an object, he said that knowledge is Mithya Jnanam. Means it appears to be there, but it is not actually there. So what is this Mithya Achara? Mithya Achara is of Sanyam. All that control that he is doing outside, it is just an appearance. It is not doing any good to that person. Okay, Mithyacharaha sa uchyate. Now somebody might ask, well, this is contradicting what you said earlier. Did you all notice any contradiction, or am I just bringing something that didn't come to your mind? If it did not, then see whether it's a contradiction or not. If you remember, in Sthita Prajna Lakshana, we had seen different places to catch this ball which was falling down, right? Dhyayato vishyan pumsaha sangasteshu upajayate sangat sanjayate kamaha kamat krodho bijayate. So there what did we say? Even if mind has lost control, if our sanyama is strong, external Yavahara that is strong, then it can save us from a lot of trouble. The last ball of krodha, even if mind has krodha, mind has other things, even then we can be saved from trouble if our sanyama outside is very strong. If we have built our personality to govern our response and not be very reactive. So that person can get saved from a lot of situations. If you directly apply this verse, the question would be, here Bhagwan says, Karmendriyani sanyamya ya aste manasa smaran indriyarthan vimudhatma mithyachara. If you are just controlling from the outside and inside you have Vishaya Chintanam, he calls that person mithyachara. So is he criticizing external sanyama? Isn't it going contrary to what was said before? So we should remember that these are two different people who are being addressed. The person being addressed in second chapter is a sadhaka. He is a sadhaka who is not tamasic. He has lived a good life. He is living a good life. But also he is trying to overcome his shortcomings. And no matter how hard we try, sometimes mind goes out of control. So to that sadhaka, Bhagwan says, even if mind has lost its control and external personality is very strong, then that sanyama will save us. Over here, in this particular verse, Bhagwan is talking to some sadhaka who might be in tamas. One who does not want to do karma, or one who does not take up any karma out of this fear, or out of tamas only. That also is there. Any new sadhana, nothing he is taking up because, anyway I have to drop it. Why should I? A lot of logic also this mind gives. That is why this verse we have to understand in the context of previous two verses. Bhagavan is just eliminating this notion that if we have tamas in our life, it is not going to take us anywhere. To that sadhaka, he says, it is better that we get into action and whatever convictions are there in the mind, they should be very seamless. Meaning what? This sanyama should become our personality. It should not become a struggle. So externally also, I should be able to drop Vishaya, but mind also should cooperate in dropping those Vishayas. That dichotomy should not be there, that mind has Vishaya Chintanam and externally I am trying to withdraw myself. To help in this, Bhagwan says, Karma Yoga will be beneficial. Beneficial for what? To align our external practice and internal conviction. Merely by external appearance, Bhagwan says, don't define anybody. Don't define yourself also. How we say, don't judge a book by looking at the cover. Don't judge a person by looking at external appearance. But person meaning, we should take it more for ourselves, not others. So more important is our mind matured? Somebody can be very active outside. Karmendriyani can be very well employed, very busy outside, but mind can be very, very sanyamita, very well regulated. So externally that person appears to be doing so many things, but inside there is a lot of control. And all great Mahatmas were in that category. Some chose to withdraw externally also. That also we should appreciate. Internally they had Sanyama, and externally also they withdrew. Somebody like Raman Maharshi Ji, somebody like Taponji Maharaj. But then you had Mahatmas who are very active. One example is, there are several. One is our Vidyaranya Swamiji. Right? One has a political position. Means he was the minister in the court of Harihara and Bukka. How busy his life would have been. So many things he would have seen in external world. But if you look at his composition, that shows his mind. What kind of vairagya he had. So many times he uses the word udasina in Panchadashi. He says udasina means somebody who is always seated above situations. Ut asina. And sometimes what happens is, for such a great Mahatma, even if they don't want, lot of bhoga will come their way. And he says they will do, or they will go through that bhoga with lot of klesha. Klishta bhoga they will do. Means in their mind, they will have this thought that this has come, but I should not get carried away by this thing. So it's a very subtle, path, subtle journey. And you can have another extreme also. Somebody who looks very withdrawn from outside, but inside mind has Vishaya Chintana. This type of dhyanam is called as Bakat Dhyanam. A crane which stands on that one leg, it appears, Baka means a crane. It appears to be very quiet, doing very, meditative pose. But in its mind, it is thinking about the fish which is in that water. Moment it sees it, it will jump and take it away. In Ramayana, we saw the story of Pratap Bhanu, where he goes and meets a hermit whose name was Ekatanu, he says. And that hermit was not a hermit. He was his own rival king in disguise of a hermit. And externally, Pratap Bhanu looks at him and falls for that hermit. He says, such a great sadhu, so much sanyama he has. But inside he is plotting, how do I take away the kingdom of Pratap Bhanu? So all that is elaboration of this verse. Indriyarthan vimodhatma mithyachara sa uchyate. Mithyachara. But we should remember, this verse doesn't apply to a sadhaka. Sadhaka is inside, he might, still have vishayas, but he is not endorsing them. He is trying to overcome them and externally trying to do sanyama. Otherwise, all the other practices that we do, right, we won't be able to appreciate the relevance of those practices. For example, upavasa. We do fasting, but there is no guarantee that when we fast, mind doesn't go to vishayas. Or mind doesn't go to food in particular. So will you call that person mithyacharaha? Bhagavan says no. That person is student of 2nd chapter of Geeta. That is working hard. Even if mind goes there, the advice there is bring it back and still try to not eat or whatever vow we have taken. Fasting is just one example. And invariably it will happen. In Sandipani, it used to happen all the time. The day you fast, they will make something which you really like. Okay, and then several other things people used to do. Ask your neighboring brahmachari to save something for the next day. Now, all that is part of sadhana. Okay, not that we should do that, but I'm just saying that we should understand or appreciate who are these two different sadhakas Bhagavan is addressing. Means for sadhaka, the advice is grow out of that inner desire. If you do maunam, then also you will realize the same thing. Externally, one might be quiet, not talking to anybody and so on. But internally, there is so much of, push. At moment this maunam is over, I'm going to go and tell this thing to that person. Or there will be written notes, long written notes that after this program, do this, after this, do that, and so on. Say if you're in maunam, there should be no urge to speak. This used to happen also in Sandipani. Every Tuesday was maunam. But there, for a sadhaka, the advice is external Sanyama should be accompanied with inner Sanyama. Okay. But if we miss that point and only focus on external Sanyama, Bhagwan says we have missed a great opportunity. We could have used karma and not, entering into karma without thinking or something. We say doing karma with Sanyama only, that would have brought us a lot of prosperity and inner unfoldment. So now Bhagwan is comparing. He says, compared to these people who are just having Sanyama from the outside and mind is doing Vishaya Chintanam, I consider those people who are working hard with Karma Yoga Buddhi to be greater than these. Or in other words, he says, those who are actually working in the world and trying to overcome their inner desires, they will excel. They will get whatever they want outside, but inside also they will blossom. That is what he says in the 7th verse. Yastvindriyani manasa niyamyarabhaterjuna karmendriyai karma yogam asaktasya vishishyate. Now, previous verse also he used the word yaha. So now also he is using yaha. And this is a different type of sadhakas. Yaha tu indriyani manasa niyamya karmendriyaihi karmayogam arabhate. O Arjuna, those people who are engaged in karma yoga, but not anyhow. Karma yoga means their sense organs are very well regulated by this mind. And then they start any action. Okay, yahatu manasa indriyani sanyamya or niyamya karma yogam arabhate. Saha asaktaha vishishyate. Bhagwan is saying many people can act in this world with lot of sanyama, with lot of control. But not everybody will be asakta. Asakta means they are not interested too much in worldly gains. They say, Bhagwan, may my mind get purified with this karma. Those people will excel. Asaktaha saha vishishyate. So this particular verse, if you want to put one title, so Bhagwan is telling here, those who are alert in Yavahara, they will excel. Those who are alert in Yavahara, they will excel. Now, what does alertness in Yavahara mean? So that is given in the 3 quarters. Manasa indriyani niyamya, karma yogam arabhate. That is the meaning of alertness in Yavahara. First alertness is, before getting into any karma, being very clear what is the purpose of that action I am entering into. So devotee will say, Bhagwan, my purpose is very clear. Purpose is to purify this mind. External, whatever I get, that is a byproduct. But I have become your devotee. May my mind turn towards you more and more. That is my prayojanam. That is why I am doing this karma. Okay, that is the first thought which is there. Otherwise, what happens is, whenever we are busy in something, this thought gets dropped to begin with. Meaning we enter into karma without remembering Bhagavan. That is why traditionally we do Mangalacharana. For Laukika karma also, like whenever a singer is singing, whenever there's a dance performance. We do that Mangalacharanam because the purpose of this karma should be very clear. We were discussing the other day, there was one Nandi in Marathi, that whenever they do natak, they will do Mangalacharanam, and it is called as Nandi in Marathi. There is one called as Panchatunda Nara Runda Maladhara. Those of you who know Marathi can look into the meaning of that. I mean, this is a theater play, and what the actor is praying is, Bhagwan, I am doing this play, but may my mind just not be on something outside, something external. Means people will come to watch this play or not, that is up to you. But what I am doing this for is for Ishvara Lesha. Means that joy of worshipping Bhagwan, may a drop of that joy express in this particular art that I am doing. And if that is not there, then this whole practice, whole karma that I am doing is very futile. Mudayatna shevati zato. Whatever we do without remembering Bhagwan, that is not something which is worth doing. So Mangala Charanam should be there. That is why we have prayer in the beginning of the day itself. Kayena vacha manasendriyarva buddhyatmanava prakute subhava karomi adyat sakalam parasme narayana iti samarpayam. That early morning I remember that I am starting a new day, Bhagavan. So many things I will do, and the nature of this world is such that it will take over. So before only I am praying to you that may this thought be very clear in my mind. Hanumanji, when he is ready to go to Lanka, when he is taking off, there is one chaupai that Goswamiji writes. Bara bara Raghubira samari Tarakevu pavana tanaya balabhari Bara bara Raghubira sambhari. Means what is there to sambhari means sambhalna in Hindi they say, means to take care. Now Bhagwan is seated in Rishyamukha Parvat. Right? What is there to take care of Bhagwan? He is seated there. So no. He is taking care of this knowledge, this idea or this thought that Bhagwan, I am going to Lanka accomplishing so many things, but may I not lose sight of the main purpose of this whole karma. Otherwise, externally, even if we have accomplished things, our mind inside will still be agitated. Okay, so this is the first sign of alert Yavahara. Before getting into anything, remembering ourselves or reminding ourselves that Bhagwan, this karma is for you. Second aspect of alert Yavahara is what Bhagwan has specifically highlighted over here. The first one that we saw was the word arabhate. You see that yastvindriyani manasa niyamya arabhate. Means he starts this Yavahara by doing something. What does he do? Mangalacharanam. Okay, that is the first aspect. Second aspect of alert Yavahara is being very careful about inputs. That is why yastu indriyani manasa niyamya. Indriyani, one you can take, jnanendriyani. Ahara shuddhau sattva shuddhi. Chandogya Upanishad it is said. If we are careful about our ahara, one is food, but all other inputs, that will bring a pure mind. Ahara shuddhau sattva shuddhi. You know what is said after that? Sattva shuddhau dhruva smritihi. That part sometimes get missed out. Sattva shuddhau dhruva smritihi. Means if we have a pure mind, whatever knowledge we want to recollect, that recollection will be easy. we see that, right? When mind is quiet, mind doesn't have a lot of agitating inputs from the world outside. In general, it is a pleasant mind. It can think about subtler things. It can do chintanam of subtler things. The sattva shuddhau dhruva smriti. Smriti labdhau sarva granthinam vipranashah. And once we get this knowledge, once we recollect this knowledge, in particular Vedanta knowledge, then all knots of the heart are cut asunder. Okay, meaning we can reflect more upon something if we are able to have a calm mind, and that calmness of the mind comes from ahara shuddhi. Whenever we do chintanam, we should appreciate a thing as it is, and then try to see how to practice it in our life. Right? Because we know that in spite of appreciating this fact, in spite of knowing this fact, somebody might still end up doing, ashuddha ahara shuddhi. Ashuddha ahara grahanam. Ashuddha ahara means that some news or some other conversation, whatever was agitating me, there, the same place this mind goes. So that he will address later. What to do in that case, Bhagwan will address later. He calls it as prayashchitta karma. Prayashchitta means what? If we know that something is wrong in what we have done, being able to take some corrective measures for that, making sure that same thing doesn't keep getting repeated in the future. Right? For example, if somebody says, I got angry with my co-worker or in family, wherever it is, and I myself felt that I should not have gotten angry. Now that paschatapa comes, right? The regret comes in the mind. But what we see invariably in our life is we end up doing the same thing over and over again. This question is asked by Parikshit Ji Maharaj to Shukdev Ji in Bhagavatam. He says, human beings are very strange. They do prayashchitta. Prayashchitta means if we know that something we have done is not right, doing certain types of karma to, negate that kind of thought, negate that kind of mind, to make the mind more quieter, more calmer after we have done something wrong. That is called as prayashchitta. But Parikshit Ji Maharaj says, the case with all sadhakas is the same things keep getting repeated over and over again. So Shukdev Ji, what is the meaning of real prayashchitta? Can you tell me something by which this mind does not end up repeating the same thing that it has been doing before? So then Shukdev Ji Maharaj elaborates the story of Ajamil, where he says Nama Japa is the best prayashchitta. Prayashchitta for several things. It could be any of these Shadripus which are there. Krodha is one example we took, but it could be any other vritti that we saw and we said, this is not what I want, this is not what I should be doing. Don't just stop at that. Shukdev Ji Maharaj says, do some japa for that particular karma. Irregular sadhana is separate. Whatever we do as our regular part of sadhana, that is separate. So whenever, I got angry, make sure that you do one round of japa. One of our Swamiji would humorously say, I will tell you the best prayashchitta. Whenever you get angry, write a $25 check to our organization. Not for the reason you got angry, but to show what you want to overcome, with anger. In a very positive way, you write, and then you see how quickly it will drop. But this one is slightly different. Nama Japa, Shukdevji Maharaj says, is the best prayaschitta. So in that way, one who has, very well governed his Yavahara. Inputs are very alert, and with that, mind has become pure. And result of that is, recollection is easier. And last, of course, is in alertness and response. Last aspect of alertness and Yavahara is regarding response. That whenever we see any of these, Shad Ripus, 6 enemies, Kama, Krodha, Lobha, Mada, Moha, Matsarya. I won't translate because I'm sure all of you know this. If we see any of that in our Yavahara, making sure that we put forth effort to overcome it. Hanumanji, we see all these qualities. That when he meets Nishichari, the third obstacle, she symbolizes jealousy. So Hanumanji doesn't look here and there, finishes her right away. I mean, jealousy should not be left unattended. So that alert Vyavahara, Bhagwan says, one who is doing, that person will excel. Karmendriye karma yogam asaktah savishishyate. That person will excel. Okay. Next verse also is a very important verse. Here we will again reflect upon this prayaschitta karma and few other aspects. We keep hearing the word balanced life, right? That we should have work-life balance. What is Bhagavad Gita's perspective about work-life balance? Okay, that thing Bhagwan is going to highlight over here. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om. Does Nama Japa also include chanting stotrams or shlokas that praise Bhagavan? In Bhagavatam, it is not explicitly said, but you can include that also. Why? Because stotram also is Bhagavan's name only. Right? The main purpose is that after this mind has acknowledged that I should not have done that, making sure that it doesn't repeat it again or endorse it in any way. If you read the technical definition of prayaschitta, it's very hard to appreciate how it relates to our life. So we should take these indicators. One is anger. Another is wasting our time. Right? We ourselves feel many a times that these many hours which I invested in a particular thing was not needed. Paschatapa also happens in the mind. But we see that the same thing keeps repeating over and over again. So one of the way of doing prayaschitta, one who is really sincere sadhaka, it is said for that particular action, do Nama Japa. Now again we should remember, regular sadhana is different. This is only prayaschitta for a particular action that you want to overcome. Okay. Nama Japa for Lord Shiva is Om Namah Shivaya. That is the best one. We have some important announcements. Please stay back. Otherwise, I'll see you all in the next weekend.